Hopefully you all can hear me. If you have questions, please post it into the chat and we'll just answer them as we go through what we're going to cover today. Start in about 1 minute. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So thanks everybody for joining today. This is our bi-weekly how to use Prep to Grow. If you have any questions, just put it in the chat. I'll take a look at them after I get out of the PowerPoint and we start to walk through a demo. Just some quick background. This is about me, long history in technology, in the data science world, AI, even done some work in augmented reality, all centered around predicting company performance and its influence on the markets. Today, with the agenda, we're going to cover just the Preptogo Strategy, a little bit of the overview of Grow, the application. We'll go through some demo and the new features we have and answer any questions as we go through it. And at the end, I'll leave 5 minutes for questions and answers. But again, don't hesitate. If you have questions as we go through this material and demo, just ask away. So let's get into this. So what is the Preptogo Strategy? How do we come up with our recommendations? It's a bit of a busy screen, but let me just quickly walk through it. So every single day, every single minute, every single day, we're collecting millions of daily data points from literally thousands of sources. Everything from corporations, from their 10Qs to their SEC filings, to their stock prices, to leadership changes, to new jobs they're posting, to anything related to them. We collect all that data. We collect all public data, news information, patents that they're following, and we also collect all option data and stock data, and we all do this all day long, every minute of every day. We take all this data and we start to bring it in and apply to our AI algorithms, where we start to first off predict company performance. So what we have found, if there's a prediction of a company performing good or badly, it invariably has an impact on its stock price and subsequently some options contracts that are associated to that stock. So when we predict that, if a company is going to perform one or more of the other, we then overlay it to our technical analysis algorithms, where we say, all right, traditionally, if this company's performing this way or that way, how does it influence the stock price, and when does that typically impact it, or when does that occur? The next thing we do is we look at the success rate of these predictions. How frequently do they occur? How frequently do they impact the stock price correctly? And then we start to determine how good our algorithm is predicting stock price for this given company, for this given day, for this given time period, for this given option, for this given expiration date. We don't ever recommend a company unless we've done 60 days worth of this analysis. And so when a company gets out into the wild, so to speak, with recommendations or stocks or option prices, we've at least had 60 days of testing it to make sure that our algorithms are accurate enough to stock and option price. So when you see 95% success rate, and that typically means we've been testing that company for at least 60 days, and if it's new. Some of them, these companies Actually, the vast majority of them we've been testing and using since 2012 when we really started to do these algorithms. The next is we look at stock and option movement. So part of this is related to gain. So every recommendation we have has a minimum gain of 5% for stocks or a minimum gain of 15% for options. Certainly, it could go much more than that, but that's at least the table stakes for us to say we should recommend this because there's enough room for our subscribers to get into that stock or option and to make money. The next is when we look at options, we analyze every contract by expiration date and strike price to determine which is the best one to recommend for a given time frame. So typically we recommend expiration dates in 1 to 30 day increments, 30 to 60 day increments, then 90 to 120 day increments, and then 120 plus. So if you see a recommendation with 4 options associated to that company, that's what that means. It's short, mid, and long options that we recommend, and we test each one, and each one of those have its own gain potential. So potentially see one company around recommendation and one company with just 2 expiration dates, maybe a short and a mid. The reality is that long expirations that they may have just didn't have enough gain within a reasonable time frame, so we didn't recommend it. So we go through all this, and at the end of this comes out the recommendations that we provide to folks that meet our Preptogo strategy. And then once they're quote unquote into our subscribers, we monitor, adjust, and alert. Monitor meaning we continually update our recommendations based on the latest pricing, pre-market or intraday or overnight. If you're looking at our site now, pre-market, we're projecting option price. So we do have algorithms that predict pre-market option price. So when the market opens, you'll know how much it's gone up or down. So you can decide if it's a good momentum play for you. We adjust based on that data. We can make them sold, meaning it hits target price. So we're going to change it to a sell status, or it's have so much volatility, it's either gone the opposite direction. We've decided to say it's closed because if we were to recommend this when the market opens, it would be a bad buy for anybody, and we take it off the table, so to speak. Alerts are sell alerts or buy alerts that we send out to folks. The others that I'll get into is this for active traders. We have screen alerts, so active traders can create their own screens and get alerts for any new recommendations every day at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is kind of the process that we go through. We make sure we do everything we can to give accurate recommendations. Prep to Grow is not perfect. You should project that you'll have our recommendations will take a loss on occasion. Our success rate realistically is 9 out of 10. Our options, our stocks recommendations perform success-wise way better than our options. We don't really miss with our stocks, to be honest. We will at some point for sure, but our stock recommendations are very accurate. And if you're just playing options, I'd play the stocks as well for our recommendations just to balance it out. So what does this mean? What is something that meets the Preptogo strategy? So it's 3 things. It's got to have a minimum gain. It's got to have a 5-day success rate of 90% plus. The 5-day success rate is something new that we added in about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Since we're recommending shorter expiration, we wanted to make sure folks knew what the success rate of those were. So if they're looking at one that's 30 days out and it has a 45% success rate, probably not a good buy. So we added this in to make sure folks knew what the success rate within 5 days. Success rate within 30 days. So how successful was it to execute with 30 days? 5-day and a 30-day, they're actually different recommendations we make. Some stocks and our options may be great for 5 days, but not for 30 days or vice versa. So just know that the combined 90 plus success rate, and for 5 days, and 30-day success rate for are combined, means that there's a higher chance of them being successful than not. And we'll get into this about the numbers in a second. So what does this look like? So if you look at the screenshot on the right, if you look towards the bottom, you'll see 97.9 on the left and 99% in green on the right. This would mean this has a very, very good chance of success, meaning 9 times out of 10, it'll hit that predicted price change. And as an option, that's great. Or as a stock, it's even better. So let's get through some of the numbers around how many recommendations we make and how many actually fit the Preptogo strategy. So if we look at the count, so since October 1st, we've made 33,000 recommendations. We make recommendations every single day and update them every single day, every minute of every day. We have new recommendations coming out every single minute of every day. We have a little bit, we'll start to go next into real-time recommendations to subscribers. Right now, we just post ones that are for the next day. Out of those 33,000, roughly 2% actually fit the Preptogo strategy. So 98% don't. Now, if you're a momentum player, it could be much different, right? If you are a day trader or part of our active trader subscription that plays momentum, swing trades, unusual option activity, pre-market movement, that kind of stuff, you have a strategy that fits for you and probably works for you. That's not a Preptogo strategy, right? We have subscribers that play our quote unquote movers, and that's specifically meant for momentum and unusual option activity and swing traders and day traders and that kind of stuff. So don't view the Preptogo strategy as being the same thing as the day trading. We have 2 different offerings around that. Preptogo strategy just means it's a recommendation. The movers, which is the other things that we give to the day traders, are momentum plays, and they're really 2 kind of different things. If we look at the Preptogo strategy, out of them, 171 were not recommended, meaning it probably didn't have significant gain. So instead of 15% option gain, it might have had 10. And so that's just not enough. We realistically make sure that there's at least 20 to 25% gain potential for every recommendation. Now, the thought around that is it's going to take about 5% gain to get into a stock as it moves up. You're going to buy in as it's going up, not at market value. So you're going to have some form of limit or trail for options. And so we give enough room for you to get in and get out with a 15% gain, which really means that our option recommendations really have a 25% gain potential. But realistically, you're getting in and getting out leaves you about 15% and 5% at the beginning and 5% at the sell. Gives you that buffer to get in and out at a reasonable price based on changes in the market and that kind of stuff. So just note that it's more than 15%, but 15% is realistic because of the entry and exit. Sold a loss, sold a profit. There's 468 of them sold a profit, or 92.5%. Sold a loss is 38 or 7.5%. So again, there's a dramatic difference between a Preptogo strategy recommendation and not a Preptogo strategy in terms of performance. Out of the 33,000 recommendations, if you had just bought those with none of the strategy applied to it, you would be about a 60% success rate and a 40% loss rate. So that's why we have this strategy to make sure we get it as accurate as possible. The best thing to consider as part of the strategy, which we don't mention here, is you should have 10 trades going at once. We're 9 out of 10, right? Based on the data that we see over the last 3 months, or actually longer than that, last 24 months, we're 9 out of 10. So you should factor that one of them is going to fail, right? And it's going to be an option, right? So as an option, it's going to fail. Our strategy for option failures is to get out at 50% loss or within 30 days of the expiration date. And our sell alerts are now based upon that math. So that's where we're at with this. Let me take a look to see if there's any questions. And if not, then we'll jump into the data. One-click buy integration with brokers from the site. Yes. So for the one-click, that is actually coming mid-March. We're going to have some things tied directly to the one click. So it'll be essentially you can have a recommendation that you like, and you can click that dollar symbol, which is now initiates all the sell alerts and that kind of stuff. If you were to click, and I'll actually show that in demo just to give you context. So give me one sec. Let me switch over to the demo. All right. So in here is our recommendations for the day. So let me just answer that question real quick. So for one click trade, if you like, let's say the stock, if it's the Preptogo Strategy, if you click this, it'll actually bring up, if you have E-Trade or Ameritrade, the first two we're going with, it'll bring up your logins to E-Trade and Ameritrade. You have to authenticate in, and then it will pass all this order detail into your stock provider or stock platform. And then from there, you can execute the sale. And so that's what that will mean. So you no longer have to look at this, take all this information, and this is the stock. So, what is the price? When should I get in and out? Let me take an option so it's a little bit more relevant. It'll populate essentially all this information into your brokerage or into your stock platform. Symbol, contract name, it'll populate the preferred method you have, the limit or trail buy, and essentially it'll place almost the entire full order. You still have to execute it, meaning submit it for a trade, but it gets it all the way down to that step. So save some time and some effort. So hopefully that answers your question. And James, should I exit? The longest time to sell has gone by. So let me answer that question. It depends. So if we're in here and we see that worst case for this one is March 31st, so 48 days from this. If it starts to go past this and you're less than 50%, if you're 50% more down, yeah, you should probably get out. That's our strategy. There's a lot of other recommendations out there that we give on a daily basis, and you should move on to the next one. The reality is, for us as our own fund, as from a Preptogo fund, which is independent of this and independent of the strategy that we recommend for you, is we don't ever get out till 30 days. We have been down 80% on an option, and we bounce back to a successful gain more times than not. TripAdvisor is a good one. What's another one? Norton LifeLock is another one that we ran into late last, or is it mid last year? Probably July. Got hammered, right? TripAdvisor 3 hits because of COVID, dropped their stock price. Norton LifeLock had a good quarter and then crashed, and both of those were down easily 70-80%. Both bounced back, right? Our strategy is we just don't get out till 30 days, and if it's greater than 50% within 30 days. But that's because we've seen the data and we have a much higher risk tolerance for that. If we do the math and we're down at a 10, for you all, our strategy for you is to get out at 50%. If it's within 30 days, or 50% at any point, less than 50% at any time, or it's within 30 days and at a loss. So hopefully that answers your questions, James. So again, it's situational. We'll send you a sell alert if it's time to get out for sure. So let's walk through where we're at. So as you can tell by alerts, we're constantly making more and more updates to the site. We have new things that are coming out. And so I'll just kind of walk you through some of these. The latest ones from this week are for all subscribers that are either annual plans, with the exception of the stock only, 2 weekly stocks, or the 2 options and 2 stocks monthly subscription plan. You all have access to FANG Plus recommendations. So there's 17 companies, roughly 17 companies that make up 65% of the total QQQ holdings. These are the Amazons, right? These are the Googles, these are the Facebooks, these are the Teslas and the Twitters. So for those plans, every single day you will get FANG Plus recommendations. They're good for that day, and then for the next day when the trades come out, the recommendations come out, they'll go away. But of course, you can save all of them by just clicking the like or the plus sign. So those are recommendations, and if they fit the Preptogo strategy, you should do it. But really, they're meant for momentum players. So if you want to get in to try swing trades and momentum plays, it's a good thing to take a look at. And for momentum plays, this is essentially what it looks like. You look at pre-market movement, or you look at volume to options ratio, open interest ratio, volume option to open interest ratio. And then for momentum players and day traders, this is really where they like to live and trade off a pre-market. So it's really meant for that. So it gives recommendations that fit the Preptogo strategy and momentum or day trading kind of swing moves for that. And so that was released for this week for the FANG Pluses. The others, if you haven't seen it, we have Excel download. So if you just download Excel, it'll download into, it looks like we have a bug, but it'll download here, and then you'll see the first 25 of your recommendations into a spreadsheet. And then you can track it and manage it yourselves from that perspective. The other is we have something called screens. So save screens. These are for active traders. So if you look at save screens, I can go in and create a filter. Let's say I want to look at everything that fits the Preptogo strategy and is for not the sector, but for the ETF SPY that is announcing within the next 3 weeks. So if you haven't seen this for active traders, this essentially will allow you to filter off of earnings announcements and play the volatility around earnings. Or if you're risk adverse, hit no, and then you'll avoid the earnings. The Preptogo strategy generally for earnings is we always sell before the company earns, because you never know what some CEO or CFO is going to say with an earnings announcement. So it looks like there's only two that fit the Preptogo strategy they're announcing in the next 3 weeks, and this is Apache. And then from there, I can save my screen. And then I can receive buy alerts. So buy alerts would mean that every day at 4:30, you'll get an email with any new matching recommendations. You can see I have some others down here. I'll hit save. And I'll save it, and then you're good to go. And then you just start to receive recommendations every morning at 4:30 that match your screen. Going to questions for a second. Does a sell target listed override the 15% recommendation? Follow up, whether it be sell targets listed for stocks going forward, or the sell targets and options safe to set limits to sell. So let's take a look at an example. Excuse me. So on occasion, we will have a buy price and a target sell price. So those should be the 15%. Sometimes you'll see that it's a 10%. That's just because the gain isn't as great. And so you can take the chance and jump in and get one where the gain is not as great. Does a sell target list override the 15% recommendation? Only for options. Usually it's 15%, always for target sell talk. If that answered your question. Follow up, will there be sell targets listed for stocks going forward? I got to be honest, I thought we had that. So let me take a look. I honestly thought we had sell target for stocks, but if we don't, we'll add that in there this week. Yeah, we don't have sell targets. That's an oversight on us. So we'll add that targeted sell price probably over the weekend and make sure it was in there. I think we probably just need to say I forgot to add into for stocks. Are the sell targets options safe to set limit sells to? Yes, our recommendation and part of our strategy is to always put in a 15% sell limit once you do a buy. Now, when we say this is, let me go back to get an option, just so it's a better example. Stock. I have everything stock. So let's get into Western Digital. A lot of pre-market movement on these guys. So this is what our targeted buy is, and this is target sell price. So if you get in, if you don't get in exactly at $2.61, it's fine. Like I said, we give padding so you can get in and out of 50%. Just multiply anything by 1.15 as your buy price, and that'll get you the 15% gain. But yes, we always recommend placing a sell limit as soon as you buy your stock. That way you don't have to think about it, right? You don't want to be all day looking at your stocks all day and micromanaging it. One, stocks are emotional, so you don't want to see the rides up and down as much. But also you'll miss it, right? Stocks invariably sometimes just bounce up real fast and then drop back down. If you have your limited order in place, you'll catch that bounce. So for every order we have, we put in our sell limit as soon as we buy. So yes, it's highly recommended we do that. All right, so those are the answers. Other things, so we got 5 minutes left. I didn't quite get through everything, but thank you for all the questions. You can now search off of ETF. So if you want to see stocks that are contribute to the ETF, you can just type in SPY. You can look into it, and you can also see ETFs that hold this stock. These are just the ones we track. Other things that are notable of changing is that right now for options, we have what is our predicted stock price change. We're going to add in our predicted option price change as well. So you'll be able to say, what is the predicted price option increase? So right now stock's 7.2%, right? We're going to tell you what that actually means for an option price. What's a theoretical max limit you can get on this option recommendation? Is it 15% or is it 80% based upon the price movement? So that'll allow folks that really want to ride out stocks or options a little bit longer beyond the 15%. It'll give you a sense of how far it can go. It also takes into account time decay. So the longer you hang on to it, that number will adjust down to 0 on the day it expires. So it will also provide that as well. We've got 4 minutes left. Is there any general questions that anybody has that I can answer to? The other is, if you have feature recommendations, let us know. A lot of kind of what we add into this are feedback from you all. These webinars started because somebody had recommended that we should do some webinars to show how to, so we've done that. Our Excel download was based upon feedback from folks. So if you have any feedback and if you want to recommend anything you want to see as part of this, just let us know. And chances are exceptionally high we'll get it into the product as soon as possible. Thanks, Beth. Appreciate the feedback, and I believe you've given us a lot of great recommendations, so thank you for that. So in essence, so what's coming up next for Prep to Grow? So over the next week, again, option recommendations or option predicted prices will come into it. Also some long-term stuff, one click buy. The other is that we're going to start to have recommended what we call investment plans. Essentially, if you wanted to buy, set up, if you have a budget of $20,000, what stocks should you buy? And what is essentially the timeline for them to execute? And then as they execute, bringing in new recommendations so you can just follow that. And that'll be tied to the one-click trade as well. So a lot of interesting stuff coming up over the next couple months. And we're excited to continue down this journey with you all. Again, if you have any feedback, please let us know. Happy to give and answer any questions. Just hit us up at contact@preptogrow.com. If you do call us, we are working on phone support. We essentially just got too many phone calls coming in. So now everything's been pushed to email and chat. But any questions, just let us know. If not, have a great day of trading, and appreciate your time. Have a great day.